We don't have to do that, right?
So who made the motion, was it?
Well,
Steve.
actually, you said the motion.
I called the meeting to order.
Okay,
Oh, yeah,
Oh, okay,
okay, all right, so there's.
Yes,
a
no
You
motions.
just go to Steve to
Right.
say the thing and then.
Yes.
okay.
So then you're gonna
Say
move.
the thing.
Yes, can I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
I move that the board will vote, no, this is,
Go into closed session.
that doesn't say, I'm sorry. The board will go into closed session in the main office conference room pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility. This is to discuss and take action, if appropriate, regarding professional staff employment.
Roll call vote, right?
Yeah, right. Can we'll vote to go into closed session. Jack?
Aye.
Steve?
Aye.
Ted? Aye. Well,
Aye.
so moved. We are now in closed session.
Into the office.
I'm the same. I'm like,
So,
So did you want us to, we can save the meeting for next, the informational if you want us to.
I find that kind of annoying.
I don't, is it really gonna? present, Jack, Steve, myself, Cole, Nick, administration present, Vicky Marquez, Christy, what's that? Yep, Christy, Kate. All right, visitors, please make sure that you sign in, and if we could have the scouts join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, that would be outstanding.
Thanks again for having us. My name's
for being here.
Mike Serta from the PAC 328.
My name's Nolan.
Come on. Switch in. Switch in. Switch in. Switch in. My name is.
My name is Bill. Caitlin. Yeah.
Scout salute, hand over heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you so
Much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Can I please have a motion to approve the agenda?
I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
So moved?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Just a quick update for the president's report here. Just a couple things. Literacy night recently took place. Thank you for all of you that came. Great turnout. 168 students and families attended, which is awesome to engage the community in such meaningful collaborative efforts to improve just that idea of learning. Vicky had shared some information about a school board retreat. I just want to make sure that that's on everybody's radar. That retreat will take place on August 27th when the Teacher Institute is happening as well. So that'll be an opportunity for us as a board to continue our professional learning, to establish some goals for the school year that are aligned to the strategic plan. And though also a couple of months ago, Craig shared some information with us, some data, and Nick, you asked the question about like when are families going to be able to access that? Those of you that have kids here in the district know last week we had an email sent about accessing our students' data, and for those of you that are guests here, if you haven't taken advantage of that yet, I highly suggest you do. It really allows us as parents to be partners with the school in this work, and it's just so much information that's available for you about your students here, and I think we're going to work on bringing some information about what all that data means for us as parents and how we can help our students through some parent university work, whether that's YouTube or some just documentation about what that data is actually showing. So thank you for asking the question. Craig, thanks for putting all that together in order for us to have access to. That's all I have for the president's report tonight. Steve, election updates?
Yes, just so everyone knows, the candidates for the school board who will appear on the ballot for the upcoming spring election, which is April 2nd, are our current board members, Jack Nicolai and Nick Baloney. So just a reminder for everyone to vote on April 2nd, 2024.
Thank you. Any correspondence?
No correspondence.
And CISA 2 update?
Just a brief comment. I'm the vice chair of the Board of Control of CISA 2. And as many of you know, CISA has a number of units across the state. And it's always incredible that in the time I've been on the Board of Control, is that the Department of Public Instruction calls on CISA 2 to do so many things, and they provide outstanding services, special ed, and so many others, and programs to certify teachers, and they're looking in the future at least to have programs so they can actually certify teachers to become school administrators, which I think is really cool.
Great.
So anyway,
Yeah,
that's
they're
all
a
I
great
have.
resource
They
for
really
our
are.
schools.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Nicole?
Sure. Lots of words, but I'll make it super fast. So on the governor's desk right now is the teacher certification, but that is essentially a bill that removes the requirement that an alternate certification be operated by a non-stock nonprofit organization for purposes of an initial license to teach. And then on the Senate floor, there's been some back and forth specifically about Act 20 and then the literacy screening. So they actually did agree that the first school year, the screening can be optional and or allow the CISAs to provide the literacy training. But they will not be bringing this back to the Senate floor until mid-March. So more to come on that. And then Bill 900, this is talks about ending reductions to state aid paid to school districts for per pupil payments made under the parental choice program. I know that there are a lot of opinions about this, so moving forward, I would like to just get your thoughts and opinions and just learn a little more about this. And then, so there was a policy forum on the buses. This is just interesting and something to be aware of. So we all know bus drivers are down by over 18% the last 15 years. They're expecting that to worsen potentially another 20% within the next 5 years because 20% of drivers are 65 and older. So there are a lot of districts right now trying to pre-plan basically what to expect in the next 5 years, especially because enrollment decline does not affect transportation costs. Like it remains exactly the same. And the schools that are going to get hit hardest are rural districts because we have longer routes and more geographic space. So it was a good article on that. I can send it along, but apparently there's a lot of districts trying to brainstorm what to do about this. So just thought I'd bring it up. That's it.
Thank you. Can we take a look at the treasurer's report, please?
All right, I would like to present the treasurer's report dated January 2024. I'll read the ending balance for each of our accounts. The Community State Bank operating account with a balance of $3,021,410.90. The Flex account with a balance of $31,294.94. Petty cash with a balance of $300. LGIP with a balance of $803,892.48. WISC with a balance of $14,877,230.91. That is a grand cash investment asset total of $18,734,049.23, and a Fund 10 and 27 asset total of $1,312,975.02. Payment of account payable bills, January 1st through January 31st, 2024. This is paper checks numbered 72,361 to 72,421. Wire transfer checks numbered 2023-00764 through 2023-00896. And ACH checks numbered 2324-00078, 2324-00088, for a total of $1,601,955.59. Pass it to you, Marcus.
I do want to mention that, I think I mentioned this last month, but for the first time since I've been here, in the 3 years I've been here, we did not have to short-term borrow to pay our normal bills. So that did save us an interest. Typically in the past, we paid a little over $1,000 in interest, but interest rates have been going up, so we would have paid significantly more. So that's a good point. It is a testament to the amount that we've been able to increase our fund balance to that point where we don't have to short-term borrow, and that's typically like a best practice from the financial standpoint. That you want to be in that position where you don't have to borrow money to make payroll and pay your bills. Just quickly touching on revenue and expenses, we at this point last year we're pretty much on pace. Though when you look at the numbers, it doesn't look like revenue is on pace. The reason is last year, we recorded our Fund 39 property tax payment, which we received in January. We received property tax payments in January, February, April, and August. The first one comes in January. And in the past, I had recorded that to Fund 10, but I've found out that we should be recording the first property tax payment to our Fund 39, which is our debt payment. So next year, everything will even out, but this year it looks like because this is only Fund 10 and 27, it looks like our revenue's down, but actually it's on pace. It's just the property tax payment getting applied to Fund 39 is throwing it off at this point. But otherwise, overall, the other revenues are right on pace. When we go to expenses, we're actually slightly behind last year's pace. We do have 27 pay periods this year. Normally we have 26, but the month of September and the month of August, so the first month of our pay and the last month are both 3 pay period months. March is also a 3 pay period month. So we have 1 extra pay period, so the salary and benefits are actually spread out over a longer period of time, which is also why overall it looks like we're down a little bit, but we're right on pace with our budget. So without going into any more details, does anybody have any specific questions on revenue and expenses? No? Okay.
Thank you. And then you should have also had the minutes of the regular school board meeting from January 23rd and approval of an occupational therapist due to a retirement.
Yep. So Donna J, our longtime occupational therapist, is retiring at the end of the school year. And we've issued a contract out to Jennifer Plants. So she has a few years of experience. And Kate, I don't know if you want to chime in because you know a little bit more about Jennifer.
She has, I think, upwards to about 15 years of experience. The cool thing about Jennifer is she has experience from paraprofessional all the way up to occupational therapist. So she's kind of been in all the realms of the special ed world. She's worked in large districts like County Unified. She's currently at Lakeland. So she has a lot of diverse experience in regards to working with students with significant needs in a lot of different environments and classrooms. So we're really excited that she'll be joining our team next year. We think it's a great hire, so we're really pumped.
Thank you. Can I have a motion?
Yep, I move to approve the consent agenda items A through E as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Okay, so we have our first grade. Students have an animal research project. Yep, and the camera will zoom over to you.
That's what you wanted, right?
Hello, everyone. I'm Caitlin Payne Morgan. I teach first grade here at Salem.
Hi, I'm Brooke Kennedy. I also teach first grade here at Salem.
So for the whole second quarter, our first grade students took part in an animal research project. So the first part of our project was introducing students to the different text features that were nonfiction books. So we taught them about table of contents, we taught them about headings, bold words, glossaries, and then we were finding those in books and texts and different sources that we used for research. The second part of the research process that we did was modeling the actual research that we wanted them to do. So as a class, we researched elephants. We used 3 different resources for researching. We taught the students how to use Pebble Go, which is an online research base that students can type in and they can find different information on different topics. That's available right through our Salem library website. We also used Epic, which is an online collection of books. So I was able to make collections for all the students' different animals that they were researching. They are able to listen to the stories or listen to the books, and they're also able to read the books. And then the last resource that we used were just plain old books.
After students were able to do their research on their animal, they got to choose their own animal to go into more depth My class was able to research elephants, tigers, snakes, wolves, and birds. And when they chose their animal, they were able to research more about their animal's physical characteristics, their animal's behavior, their animal's habitat, and their animal's life cycle. And like Mrs. Payne had mentioned, they used Pebble Go, they used Epic, and they used books to find their research. After their research was complete, they were able to complete their final writing project, and they used their information that they learned from their research project to write about their animal, and they put together their own project with everything that they had learned about their animal, including physical characteristics, habitat, behavior, and life cycle. We did bring some samples to show you all, and we also have some of our students here that would, if you would like to, you're more than welcome to come and share.
You want to come show us?
But I can pass out what I have here so you guys can take a look. Here you are. You're welcome. Here you are.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Does not want to work here. Hi, how's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
Great, thanks.
This is Vince. What did you research about?
It's the only thing I'm afraid of. Yeah, I don't like them. I don't like snakes.
What did you find out
Tell me what you found out about snakes.
Did you choose it?
This is Veda. What did you research about?
Oh my goodness. Do you know what kinds of food?
What did you learn about elephants? What did you guys learn about elephants?
Oh my goodness.
I see what you have here. This is so
What was your favorite thing you learned about them?
Do you have a favorite kind of snake?
Do you like art?
I think they're like
70?
they're like
Everything. Coolest fact that you want to go tell us learned.
Did you see they just found an anaconda in the ocean, like in the bottom of a river?
What was your fact? I just heard you say, what was it?
He taught music here.
All the sun is not good for their elephant
Show them.
skin.
A lot of colors.
What was
Actually, they
your most favorite
they're not all
thing that you
gray.
learned about elephants? What was your most favorite thing? Here, we can.
What do you think? Have you ever touched a snake?
yeah.
What does it feel like?
So, how much does it weigh? Do you remember?
It's like a I did too. What did you tell me about what
Oh, really?
Wow, that's a lot. And Madison, what was your most favorite thing that you learned about elephants?
And
Have you ever seen snakes in your yard?
What, do you know what country they live in, or continent?
Do you remember?
Yeah, those are
Wait,
right
no,
there, right?
they live in the grassland.
giants?
Let's see if you remember.
Under my
Really? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, in the grassland habitat. I think we learned about how they live in Asia, right?
Some live in Africa.
I would have jumped on the roof of the car.
warm blood.
Has it been a minute?
Yeah. This was our whole second quarter project. Oh, I love it.
Did you get to choose which animal that you
Now you know.
researched? Good. No, if you had to choose, would you pick a snake?
There's an elephant.
This is so good. Thank you so much.
By Megan
Thanks for
Markle.
sharing.
It follows the journey of a young calf named Jomo and his mom and his grandma.
Be cute.
My son really is into elephants too.
That's very cool.
If you guys have Disney, you should ask your parents to watch it.
It was during
Yes, that sounds like a really cool video.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And then here quickly, you can just glance. This was Veda's writing.
Okay.
She was able to write a lot of things about what she learned about you. It's in you. Oh, I think maybe Mom has it. Mom might have
They're warm blooded?
Amazing. Good job. They did a wonderful job. Thank you so much for having us. Thank you. Here, go, Veda. We'll put that back in your folder so you can take that home.
Good job.
Well, I don't know that there's anything more important than that. So I think we just go home now.
Yeah,
I think so.
that was wonderful.
For sure, the highlight of the meeting.
Amazing, nothing ever comes.
Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Parents, thank you for
Thank you.
supporting those great kids there. Any public comments this evening? No public comments. All right. Vicky, what's there over you?
All right, here we go. All right, so we have been toying with the idea of a different meeting start time. I've provided you with surrounding districts. This would be up for you guys to make a discussion, and if it's something that you would like to make a motion on, it's up to y'all.
So I originally brought this up last board meeting, and I felt that we spent a lot of time waiting to get to 7 o'clock to have this board meeting, where I feel like, the 5:30 slot or in that area would be a lot more indicative of just, hey, get done with work, rock and roll, get this through, have energy, and then get on with the evening. I think a lot of parents and people would probably appreciate that. I would appreciate that, right? So, whether it's 5:30 or whatever the case is, I think 7 is just, it's too late, if you ask me, and I think we could get the same thing done in an earlier time.
Yeah, I feel like 7 is probably an antiquated model of board meeting times. I feel like personally, I feel like anything earlier than 5 doesn't in good faith allow the public to attend the meeting.
9 to 5 type of
Right.
idea set, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm comfortable with the 5:30.
That works.
I would love 5:30.
When it was brought up, the 5:30 time gives me kind of a tight schedule to get dinner ready before my wife comes home from work.
Sure.
Being a teacher, she never leaves school when she's supposed to. She's always staying after to talk to other teachers or kids or finish work. And, 5:30 would make it difficult for me to make sure that I can do what's right for her on those days. 6 o'clock for me would be better. Just that extra half hour.
I'm not opposed.
Either's fine with me.
Yeah.
6 is better than 7. if you-
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We'll do 6 until she retires. Then we'll
Couple of years.
I'm also okay with 6. I know 7 o'clock is definitely later in the evening.
I make a motion to to change the start of the regular school board meetings to 6 p.m. and this would begin
This should begin the next meeting, right?
at our next meeting. Thank you. I just did some editing there.
Probably better
Nice.
too for special board meetings.
We would probably.
Sure, we can still meet at 5
most
then.
likely, though.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's what most school
Or
districts
even
do. They do it
committee
after.
Or
Well, they do it on
5:30,
different
depending
days,
on-
honestly.
Oh, that's true.
But-
It probably depends on if we have a committee meeting or something. Yep.
Second.
Did you accept the motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, motion carries. We will begin our board meetings at 6 p.m. It'd be great for all the little kids coming as well and their families, for sure. Thank you.
And just with our new policy, the way it's written, so next year, when we do our reorganization, this will be a conversation every year. So during the reorg, we talk about our start times, the days and start times. So that's how our policy is written now. So you don't have to wait till, if you're like, oh, we'd like to start later or earlier, you can do it then.
I just think it's a more flexible way of handling business.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, so just some highlights on the school year calendar for next year that we're proposing. Beyond the state statutory and Salem contractual requirements that I wanted to highlight, this calendar addresses multiple areas within our strategic plan. So the way we've created it for flexibility for teachers, also with our families, some of the things that we've extended holiday and still ensuring that we have that student contact time. We align our major breaks with the high school. We share in-service days with the high school and our feeder schools. We've just recently had a feeder school PD with Central, Bristol, and Wheatland last week. And we've already saved that for next year pending this approval. And then it reflects feedback from staff and families. So I have heard feedback from families on how we do our like holiday breaks that just, this year particularly felt really clunky for them when they come back and come and go. And so we were really trying to be cognizant to both staff and families. And so this seemed to hit all of the nails on the head.
Yeah, I think especially the major breaks are aligned with the high school breaks.
We've always done that though,
Yeah,
for
right.
many, many years though, so.
Hopefully, we're past the point where we had teachers here who used to say, I'm not going to let the high school dictate what we do. But that's so much a part of the lives of our students.
It is. And our families.
We should let the families dictate how these really align.
Yeah, out of curiosity, and I should know this after so many years on the board, is our schedule also concurrent with Wilmot? Because I know there are
Yes,
some.
well, the major holidays they are. We all aligned, yes.
Right, okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, and I think the high school will have a little few nuances this year because they're, if you're not familiar, they're going to a trimester system.
Yes.
So semester, so their breaks are gonna, their major obviously the winter break is still the same, but there might have be like some days off with final exam and stuff here and there, but.
I move to approve the 24-25 or 2024-2025 school year calendar as presented.
So moved.
Second?
I was louder.
You were.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
All right, the next item is the second Friday, January pupil count. So the big pupil count that everybody always talks about is the third Friday of September. That's the pupil count that dictates our revenue for the year through the revenue limit formula. So the second Friday pupil count in January is the lesser known of the pupil counts because it doesn't impact our revenue per se, but it does impact the amount of state aid we get. So it kind of shifts between state aid and property taxes. So if you experience an increase in January, then you'll get slightly more increase in state aid and less property tax the following year. So it's a it's not as impactful in terms of revenue, but it does shift where the money comes from a little bit. I did look at the last several years to make sure this trend of we typically do increase about three to five students, anywhere in that range. So this is right within that trend. It should be pointed out that we did pick up a few 4K students, which is always good because we want students on the younger end, because then that means they have hopefully a long time here at Salem. We also typically add some preschool special ed students. These are students that either don't turn 3 until after the third Friday count, and so then they get picked up in the January count.
How close is this number to our actual enrollment?
So the pupil count. So our actual enrollment, I think, is about 955 or somewhere in that range. So because this is the actual membership pupil count, and then you have to subtract all the kids that open enroll out, but then you have to add back in all the kids that open enroll in. So this is, it is different than our actual enrollment
version of it. Pretty much is what this is. Yeah.
Yep.
I saw over 1,000, I got excited.
I move to approve the second Friday in January pupil count for the 2023-2024 school year as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, what we wanted to do is provide the board with information related to some of the changes that are going to be happening next year, but also some of the work we've been doing that started last year. So in front of you, you have a packet. This is also digital. We're not going to go through all of this, but what Patty can't be here tonight, and she and Christy have done a lot of this work, and they're going to both would have spoken tonight, but Patty is out. There are links in here that I think are fascinating and helpful documentation of the work we're doing. But I've highlighted here this the talking point on working in collaborative teams and defining standards and assessments. Earlier this year, I've shared with you our state report card. This information is from our strategic plan. Like what do we already know that we needed to work on? And this is where we are right now. And I'm going to have the team come up and we're going to be walking through pretty briefly, but giving you a sense of the work we're doing at our collaborative teams to ensure that we're making good on promises that we've had to students, that we're having all students learn at high levels, and that we're also really emphasizing the importance of the type of community of learners, both young and adults, that we want to be as a district. So I'll let you start.
Okay, so the collaborative teamwork has several layers. So one of the first layers is with our building leadership team, which is a group of teacher leaders. I think there's maybe about 15 in our group. And so what we've started doing is a lot of learning around the 3 big ideas of PLC. So we've spent 2 sessions on our collaborative culture, kind of doing a check on where we are and what are our action steps, like how do we put our collaborative culture into place so that we can do the best for our students and ensure that they're learning at high levels. We've just now started talking about the L for learning, and so we're going to start talking more about our assessments, our standards. This is like an ongoing process. It's not brand new, but coming together with our leadership team, we are starting to now work on having common language around all of these big ideas of a PLC.
So the next layer is our grade level teams. Our grade level teams right now are really focusing on ELA and our standards in ELA and breaking those down and defining them. So this is kind of the start of the process. We sit down with a grade level team and we look at all of the state standards in ELA and determine in that grade level, what do we want to ensure our students come out of that grade level knowing and being able to do. So you can kind of see how this team is choosing supporting standards versus our essential standards. When you look at the standard that they chose as essential, it's a lot. So how do we kind of get down to what it actually means and what we actually want students to learn? So the next step in that process, and this is a kind of a full day workshop for our grade level teams, we break them down into these I can statements. So if you kind of focus on that column in this chart, the I can write an organized opinion piece, I can write an organized informative text. Those I can statements capture the essence of that standard without being so lengthy and wordy and maybe like having misunderstandings about what the standard is asking us. So now we have common language, we have a common understanding of what we want our certain students to know and be able to do. And then the next piece of that is ensuring that our assessments are matching our I can statements so that we're all moving forward in the right direction with our standards. So that's the ELA piece of it.
And that brings in the math piece, but some of that we're already doing. We're taking essential standards that we've identified a couple of years ago. We have those in notice and we run reports for all the teachers at every test. Kind of you can see on the top part of this slide here. This is a sample of what we do. And we align that then to the forward exam and where it appears and how often it appears and how heavy of a standard it is. And then we've taken on part of the DOK piece that they're really digging into in the ELA, and we've added that to every single question of our math assessments too, like what level of DOK it is. So then we can start not just to analyze the standards, but how deep are we actually getting with these kids and how are they getting it at those deeper levels. This third grade test only went to DOK 2, so it's something that we can make adjustments on in the future as needed. So we started, where they're starting with the standards and working on curriculum, we started with the curriculum and are working backwards on standards in the math piece. So they're gonna take what we did and do it, and we're gonna take what they did and do it moving forward so that all of this stuff eventually lines up. There was one other slide. But
You know what, you updated it and I had already, yep, we're just gonna, they'll see it in their slide deck. Do you wanna just tell them about it?
Basically, we took there's blueprints that we found for every single one of the Wisconsin Forward exams. And it tells you for each grade level, like the standard band, what level it is going to be. Is it going to be a mastery standard or a main standard, a supporting standard, or just another standard? And then focusing on where do those hit in our instruction. I had third grade team ask me if they could switch some units in their math coming up, and I said no, because this one that you want to switch is actually more prevalent on Forward exam historically than this one. But we're going to try to find a way to merge the two so that they can both get hit before. So we're taking all of those maps and trying to make it as meaningful and timely as we possibly can. So you'll see a couple of graphs that deal with that.
So this next slide is kind of like, where are we going? So now that we've determined our essentials, we'll be working on this with math as well. Where is that going to be assessed so that it's really clear to our families when the skill should be mastered by? So this is a document that Patty has created. Once we pull out the essential standards from our grade level teams, our next step will be, okay, where exactly are we measuring this skill so that we know when to look for mastery of that standard and that skill.
That's the slide I was telling you about. It just got moved to down here. All right. Yeah, so the left side is me pointing out after they take an assessment, like, here's the standards that were assessed on your test, here's how they appeared in the Forward exam. Historically, we've done well on these, but somehow we fell behind on this one. We know it's not the same set of students, but it's the same curriculum and it's the same teachers. So maybe let's put a little bit more emphasis on this one where we can. Maybe that's in extra Dreambox lessons or morning meetings or something, not necessarily altering, but fitting in where we lacked in the past. And then the thing on the right is what I was telling you.
Okay, so another layer of our collaborative teamwork and our collaborative culture will be shifting our middle school structure. So we've received feedback from families and staff that we're really wanting a more collaborative culture in our middle school. Our current teams have one person per subject per grade level, which means they're kind of on their own island in terms of designing assessments and thinking about standards. So we want to ensure that there's more collaboration there academically so that they have a teammate to bounce ideas off of and talk through our standards. Let's see, it also helps to open up more room in the schedule for elective choices, so that's been a really big push with our strategic plan as well, so we're going to continue to work on providing more elective choices for our middle school students. So what that actually looks like then is that our 6th grade team will really be 2 houses. So it'll be 2 ELA and social studies teachers and 2 math and science teachers. They will partner up with one another and have their own cohort of students. But still at the same time, they'll have an academic partner at that grade level as well. So they're designing their assessments together and talking through standards together. Then in 7th and 8th grade, the shift will be 2 people per subject area. So they'll split 7th and 8th grade teaching now, but there will be 2 science teachers, 2 social studies teachers, etc. And again, the purpose of that is to really be able to dig into our standards and design those assessments and just get really clear about our students' learning.
Some of the data coming from this, that idea of the 7th and 8th grade, the looping idea, there is a lot of research, like we just read, like in Adam Grant's book just talks about, like there's a lot of success if you've worked well with a student in one grade, it'd be nice to see where they show up in another one. So we're really trying to hit this from multiple angles of the strategies that we're working on in committee work for policy, that retention policy. We're really trying to consider all of those aspects when we're making these systematic changes.
Kind of a brief overview of some of the things that we've started to implement and some of the things we're planning on implementing next year as well. So I know that some of this is going to be a little redundant. We did start our Wings and Soar program, which is our alternative programs for our students who have more significant functional needs. Those were new this year, so the leadership team last year worked hard on making sure those are ready and in place for this year for our students, which has been great. We reassessed our students' needs based on their SDI minutes per IEP, which I'll go over in the next slide, and tried to include more opportunities for intensive intervention in the special ed setting for students who have, bigger academic gaps or need more of that one-on-one time in the special ed setting or small group time. This year we implemented a new SEL curriculum called Positive Action. That's a research-based SEL program for supporting our students' functional SDI minutes. So we do have a school-wide curriculum that we use, but this one is specifically for our special ed students and our special ed teachers so that they have a tool that they can access and use to support our students in those areas. We have started some life skill options for our alternative programs as well. We have some students who are cooking, doing laundry. We have students going out into the community and shopping, as well as doing sales and carts in the building, which has been great. And then next year we did buy a licensure for the Unique Learning System, which is a research-based curriculum for our students on the alternative curriculum. So lots of great things happening in the SPED world. We're looking forward to continuing to grow all these programs next year too. So we did do a data poll, just to kind of give you guys a visual on when I was talking about specially designed instruction minutes and IEPs. So I pulled all of the SDI minutes from students who have been enrolled at Salem for 3 years with an active IEP for 3 years. So if we look at, for example, just a 3rd grade slot there, currently they're in 3rd grade, so the 23-24 school year, they're in 3rd grade, which means in 21-22 they were in 1st grade. So it's the same group of people, of students, and you'll see the minutes that they receive kind of transition a bit into the SPED setting. That's not saying that students shouldn't receive services in the gen ed setting, but we want to make sure that we are meeting students where they're at, and we want to make sure that we're placing them in a setting where they're receiving the instruction and the intervention where we're gonna close those gaps and we're gonna give them those skills. Can we go to the next slide?
Absolutely.
So the big question is why? There was a concentrated push for all of our instruction to take place in the gen ed setting. That just comes down to least restrictive environment. That's a push from DPI. But we always want to look at each student as an individual. Sometimes the special ed setting does provide intensive intervention for students And that's when we see those gaps close. All of our students have access to Gen Ed peers. All of our students engage and participate with Gen Ed peers, but they do receive small time frames of intervention in the special ed setting. And this just helps them learn and grow in areas that they struggle. So we're going to continue to kind of work this process and try and continue to close these gaps. If we go to the next slide, you'll see since we've been implementing the small group setting and kind of pushing for some adaptations to SDI being given in the special ed setting, you'll see that our MAP scores are going up. So we are closing those gaps.
We do want to highlight. So like if you can see the students with an IEP is blue on the bottom on both of them, you can see since the spring where we've started to push, like give students that more intense needs support, that SDI, it's starting to have a tick up.
When did this start?
This data goes all the way back to as far as we can pull it, but this was basically last spring-ish when we started to make the transition to these minutes. So the third dot in. So the lowest one on all of them.
This goes all the way back to like 2014?
Yeah, long time.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because it just seems like some of the data is very antiquated as far as peak and valley for a certain period.
Yeah, I would ignore, NWEA, I would ignore all of this, but we just wanted you to see over time, you can just definitely see.
I'm focused on the last 4 to 5 points. Because that's when we've started to implement the more intensive intervention through IEP services. Do you guys have any questions about that portion? We're good, Nick. Any questions?
Okay, so we're trying to be brief and bright and be gone. I'm going to show this really quick, this piece on collaborative teams. But because this is talking about what we're doing as a school system. I'm just going to do it, and then we'll move on to my last final points.
So what do we mean by team? By team, it's this. You've got this definition in other places in your binder, but if you want to jot it down, you can. A team is a group of people working, here's the key phrase, interdependently. Depending on each other, needing each other in order to be successful. I can enter that marathon all by myself, and I can accomplish that goal regardless of what happens to anybody else in the marathon. I will rise or fall, succeed or fail, all by myself. I don't need anybody's help in running that marathon. But if I were a member of a team, we'd be working interdependently to achieve a shared goal, a common goal. You cannot be a team without a goal. It is the sine qua non of team. And it's a goal for which we're mutually accountable. I'm counting on you. I need you. You can count on me. We will be accountable to one another. That is what makes us a team. And we don't want just any team. We want collaborative teams. That's the fundamental structure of a PLC. So again, we need to get clear on terms. What do we mean by team? What do we mean by collaboration? Clarity precedes competence. And Becky told us in her keynote, collaboration is a systematic process. Now, when you hear systematic, let's go back to loose or tight. Does systematic sound to you like it would emphasize loose or tight? Tight. If you do something systematically, it's what? Tight. You make sure it happens. I'll give you an example. Safety checks at nuclear power plants. Don't we hope they're kind of tight about that? It's not, if you're in the mood today, you might want to check the nuclear reactors. No, we want to know that there is a system in place. Somebody's monitoring the system. They've got redundancies built in. They make sure certain things happen. They are tight on that. Well, that's how we approach collaboration in a PLC. A systematic process in which we work together interdependently, there's that phrase again, in order to impact our professional practice. This is huge. The only reason we ever put you in a team, the only reason we give your team time to collaborate.
We're changing our structure in our middle school. Specifically when we look at just our data over time, we see it's for a while been dipping. I think partly because our system was set up to allow us, we don't have people to brainstorm off of. So we're systematically changing that. That's an area that we're addressing, because the impact that we need to see if our students learning, we're seeing right now that we have an opportunity and a need to show change and growth. So that's one of the areas that I would say Christy and Patty are emphasizing. And then from another angle that when we do staff meetings and when I have conversations one-on-one with people in my office, I'm really hitting the end of what does it look like to be the team player within your team. I only want people on our staff who are willing to check their ego, who are not self-centered, who have not just a strong work ethic, but won't play the martyr or the victim card when we're asking you to go above and beyond, or you're choosing to go above and beyond. And then also, Adam Grant calls them pro-social behaviors, but you're empathetic. You have a degree of emotional intelligence. And I'm not just expecting all of us to get all the things right, because I don't get them right all the time, but making a concerted effort to check my ego. Am I hungry? Do I really want to be doing this? Because if you don't, there's 1,000 other jobs out there you can go look for. But we need people who understand that I would say public ed is a hope of the world, and we have a responsibility to the students that we serve. And are we being emotionally intelligent about it? Can we listen to the people in our team and understand their perspective? So I'm excited about the work we're doing. I do believe we'll continue to see the scores, the assessments improve, but right now we're doing a concerted effort on the team and the work that we're doing to set up a structure for success for the future. And that's all I wanted you to know. Great. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Committee reports. Do we need a personnel meeting?
No.
Oh, sorry.
Who did that before this? Yep. Our next board meeting
The 19th.
at 6 p.m.
6 p.m.
All right. Can we adjourn this meeting at 7:46, please?
I move to adjourn the meeting at 7:46.
So move.
Second.
Oh, sorry, Diane.